So let's talk better daily trainers. Which one is better? Is it the Nike Invincible Run 3 or is it the Hoka Mach 5? Let's compare and contrast and find out. So before we get into the video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to watching content. Thanks so much, love you guys a lot. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Strava for all sorts of other updates and things like that. So without further ado, let's begin. Specs for both shoes here respectively, and we will just start off with some general specs for the I guess the more seniority based shoe in our list here. So this is the Hoka Mach 5. I've said a lot about this shoe on the channel before, but just as some, little recaps for our shoe here. Of course, the shoe does sit in my size at about 8 ounces, which puts it roughly, I would say, about 227 grams average, which as a daily trainer, a little bit less than average weight overall. Good thing to consider in that kind of perspective. We do have a 29 millimeter heel with a 24 millimeter forefoot, giving it a 5 millimeter offset. So it's got a more mid-stack and less offset type of run overall in this kind of perspective. And we do follow the two foam strategy here with a ProFly Plus as the foam that has almost direct contact with your foot, minus, the insole that just kind of separates the two. And then we have this EVA technology, which is the foam that actually has direct impact with the ground. As you can see, that there is no rubber on this shoe on the bottom to protect this foam from, the elements in that kind of perspective. So those are the main things I want to talk about there. When we get into the Invincible Run Flyknit 3, this shoe runs at about 10.8 ounces, which is a lot heavier than your average daily trainer, but in the Nike realm of things, kind of average as an overall consideration, but that is about 310 grams overall. We do have about a heel here that's 40 millimeters and then a forefoot that's 31, giving it this 9 millimeter offset. So it's a high stack shoe with a higher offset. So again, different utility as a result of that type of build. And the main things we need to talk about with the bottom of the shoe and the outsoles is that it is using a ZoomX compound all the way across the shoe, just a nice huge slab of it. And then we got some rubber reinforcements in different places of the shoe, kind of following a Nike signature in terms of their build, where this forefoot area has its own kind of like patch in this sense, and then we just have rubber compounds all over the rest of the shoe with some foam exposed as a result. So let's kind of go into the uppers of both. Again, this one has kind of a waxy, maybe coated form of textile and mesh kind of going on. And the upper at this point, with 150 plus miles deep, has been performing quite well. It isn't like really compact in any particular areas of the shoe. It does not rip in any sort of way, which is kind of ideal. I don't want the shoe being damaged in that sort of way. But the only concern here mostly is the lock with this non-gusseted tongue, because this just follows one of Nike's, one of maybe 3 different styles that they have. So again, just something to consider. It's an interesting lock with the shoe, and the heel is pretty snug for the most part, but there is some sort of issues that occur in the long term with this heel build, which I'm not a fan of. So like in my right foot right now, I'm not entirely blaming the Invincible Run for this particular issue, but I do have some soreness in like an area that I can't exactly feel, like in my Achilles, soleus, calf area, that may be as a result of stress from running in this particular shoe. It could be an offset thing, it could be just a build thing, it could be a lack of lockdown that I'm not sensing. That's just some of the things I've been noticing at this point in time with the uppers strategy on this shoe. Now, the Mach 5, I don't think I've ever really said a bad thing about this upper whatsoever. I think maybe originally I said it was running a little bit wide, but that's just Hoka's strategy, is that they do have a wider than usual shoe at first, but once you start tying it down enough, this shoelace area starts tightening down a lot. You're going to start seeing some wrinkles and things like that in areas where your shoe is not necessarily down. But again, just something to note early on is that the shoe is going to feel wide, but it really isn't. Just, yeah, kind of a thing there. We do have a gusseted tongue, not a lot of material on it, just keeping the shoe as minimal as possible. Heel lock is quite average. I don't think I had an issue with it whatsoever. I actually enjoyed the heel lock from my perspective, and yeah, no wears on the upper whatsoever. It's just a minimalist shoe with a lot of great things going on. It's a smooth ride. It's quite fast, with the one negative that I think we've mentioned several times before, is that this shoe's lifespan is quite low just because of the result of no rubber reinforcement on the bottom of the shoe. And I think that strategy should stick in Hoka's perspective, because adding that rubber may add additional weight that can change the ride of this shoe. So yeah, it's an unpopular opinion. A lot of people will say, I'm not buying this shoe if it's only going to last like maximum 300 miles. Well, you know, you don't want to run this shoe to the ground as like your daily trainer. I would rotate this shoe out if you could, or if you have the budget to buy these shoes, which are probably now like $100 a piece. And even if you get like the Mach 4, which is the model before this one, super cheap, you can stack buy them if you want. Maybe like spend the money that you would spend for like a Vaporfly to buy like 4 or 5 pairs of these. So that's just a thought. I'm not saying you should go like bulk buy Hoka shoes, but I think the positives outweigh the cons on the shoe. So that's just kind of my thoughts on that perspective. So when we go about comparing and contrasting of which one's the better daily trainer, to me it's a bit obvious, but we should probably address like the major differences. Of course, you have a mid-stack foam heights, and then you have a lower offset, so more, you know, calf heel usage because of the lack of offset to emphasize more calf. And then here, of course, the shoe is a little bit bulkier, has a higher offset, higher foam stack height, and has just some more emphasis on the calf as a result of giving you that high heel effect. So from a weight perspective, you definitely want to go with the Hoka. From a longevity perspective, you would want to think that I'd say the Invincible Run 3, but as we're looking at like the bottoms of these shoes, like the right foot's quite bad. It's almost worth saying that like it slightly, not like massively outweighs how long the Mach 5 is gonna hold up, but it just seems to like slightly do a little bit better in terms of lifespan at this point in time. This is 150 plus miles in. This one might be like 200, and like I haven't even scratched, you know, this yellow ProFly in the shoe quite yet. It's when I start hitting that ProFly area that I retire this shoe. So that's just something worth considering. It's just the shoe that is worth more in money, that has more materials going on with it, and has more of a niche play in your daily shoe lineup, seems to be the one that's wearing just as equally as the Mach 5. So just a consideration. I'm not saying that it's going to last less or whatever, but so far their wears are quite similar for having about similar miles at this point in time. Now if we're talking about weight and minimalism, like the Mach 5 is your clear choice. I think there's enough going on with the Mach 5 where you really don't need a whole lot, and it's just going to give you a lot more at this point in time than I think something like the Invincible Run possibly could. But then again, this Zoom X going all the way across the shoe is a huge perk. If you want something with, you know, that daily trainer speed to your shoe, the Mach 5 has capabilities that will allow for that because of how much Zoom X foam there is on this shoe. But the Mach 5 can also do the same with its combination of ProFly Plus and this EVA foam at the bottom. So it gives you comfort and speed, whereas this one's going to give you a lot of speed and some resiliency in terms of how you can strike on the ground with the rolling effect of this shoe. Now, as you can probably guess, there's an obvious answer between which two I would prefer as a daily trainer, and it's simply under the fact of which one I've bought again and which one I'm not going to buy again. So this is my second pair of Mach 5, as you can probably guess. I will definitely strongly recommend as daily trainers the Mach 5. And as the Invincible Run stands right now, like I'm 150 plus miles in, and I'm like ready to retire the shoe because I have better alternatives. And I don't know if I would buy the Invincible Run 3 necessarily again. I will consider the 2 because a lot of people have compared this and said that the 2 is almost the exact same shoe. So if that's the case, then why would I spend more on this shoe when I can buy last year's model for a cheaper price? So that's just things to consider neutrally from the perspective of both shoes. But as daily trainers, I like the Mach 5. I haven't used it as much as I wanted to recently because of all the other shoes I'm trying and all the other, you know, pieces and things I'm playing around with. But yeah, the Mach 5 is definitely a good daily staple to use. Just be aware of its lifespan as a shoe, but also be considerate of the fact that it's priced to be a little bit less so you can buy more of the shoe if you need to. So if you agree or disagree with the assessment, let me know in the comments below, but I will end the video right here. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.